Robert, welcome back to your latest Manchester United news. We'll be talking the latest on ZIRKZEE's exit from Manchester United as well as the Semenyo deal day. He's going to decide who to choose for Manchester United and Man City. We'll be looking at the reasons why he might choose either option and going through the latest news from Semenyo. We've also got some talk on Elliot Anderson, Bruno Fernandes injury update as well. So we'll start off by talking about Semenyo. So now this is what has been said. Both Manchester United and Man City are waiting for Semenyo to indicate his preference before making any contact with Bournemouth. He's also has interest from City and is still waiting to make interest to which club he's decided to choose. So, listen, I think Semenyo, I think we'll find out pretty soon which club he's going to choose. It's looking like it's between Manchester United and Man City. What was said yesterday was he was linked heavily with a move to Liverpool and Spurs, but those two clubs look like they're out of the race now. Again, Liverpool can go back in, and obviously Isak looks like he does have a leg break, so they could very well go in to get him. So listen, we will have to wait and see what happens on that. But I do think it's between Manchester United and Man City. Now look at reasons why he would join Man City. The guaranteed Champions League football most seasons. He's probably guaranteed to play in his favourite position. Obviously working with Pep Guardiola, more stable than Manchester United. I mean, yes, Pep Guardiola may leave, but they're more stable as a club. They know where their kind of priorities are, Champions League football and these sort of things. So, yeah, the reason to join Manchester United, probably to join one of the biggest football clubs in the world. Again, work with Ruben Amorim if you see that as a positive. To be part of a project, and I think that's where players like Cunha and Burma join the club to be part of a project. But we will have to wait and see what happens. But that is kind of the latest on Semenyo. It's looking like Manchester United and Man City are leading the race. United are pushing to get the deal done for Semenyo. Manchester United and City are contacting Semenyo to see and to get a decision. If the green light is given, United want to go negotiate Semenyo's release clause in instalments spread across multiple years, which will help with cash flow. Wilcox and Amorim have identified Semenyo as a player who aligns with the club model. So we will kind of have to wait and see what happens really with the Semenyo stuff. Manchester United made the decision internally and also public. Ruben Amorim explained that Manchester United will not go for short-term signings. Ruben Amorim also said in private meeting with the directors, I don't want to play for 2 or 3 months, and we already know they're leaving in the summer. He wants players for the future. Again, we're talking about Semenyo. The feeling is Semenyo will decide soon, and my feeling in we'll have a Semenyo here we go in this January transfer window. So we will have to wait and see, but that is kind of all the latest on Semenyo. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Elliot Anderson. So this is what has been said on Elliot Anderson from David Ornstein. There will be enormous interest in Elliot Anderson, but it's not going to happen in January. The summer could be a completely different story. The fee that Forest will command is the region of 80 to 100 million pounds. The way things are looking, there's no release clause. He's on 100k per week. Obviously, there's a lot of clubs interested in signing him. He's on the top of their list. So, listen, Elliot Anderson we know is wanted by the club. Out of the Wharton, Belabor, and sort of Anderson three, I think Anderson is probably the priority right now, and he is hopefully want to join Manchester United. I think that's a big thing. Obviously, Forest, he wants to stay there. He wants to get into that England squad, so he will be at Forest till at least the summer anyway. So it's not really anything that will happen in January. It does seem quite impossible that will happen. Belabor as well, nothing in January. And same too as Adam Wharton. If we're talking about immediate January midfield signings, it's probably more Ruben Neves and potentially João Neves, but most likely Ruben Neves. Now that leads me on to the midfield. United fear they could be without Bruno Fernandes for the next month's Manchester derby due to a hamstring injury. He was seen limping heavily while out with friends on Monday evening. The games that he could miss are Newcastle, Wolverhampton, Leeds, Burnley, Brighton, City. So some big games in there that we're going to be missing Bruno Fernandes. He was asked whether he'd be fit for the Boxing Day clash against Newcastle, and he replied no. So we know he's out of the Newcastle game. The extent of the injury still hasn't been confirmed. We know it's kind of a hamstring injury. So again, I think this kind of does give Manchester United the push to one, keep Kobbie Mainoo, but two, potentially go out and get a midfielder. Who that midfielder is probably will be Ruben Neves. Again, he's nowhere near sort of the quality of Bruno Fernandes, but again, he certainly would be an interesting sort of player to bring in. But Bruno's looking like he will be missing for over a month. for Manchester United, which is frustrating because again with Ahmad and Burmo out, like they're two very very key attacking players for Manchester United. It does give a lot of sort of pressure to players like Cunha, Mount, um, these sorts of players, Sesko, to deliver, and it does leave a massive gap in that midfield. I mean, against Newcastle, who do you go for? Is it Martinez, Casemiro? Is it Casemiro, Ugarte? I think one thing, um, which is good, is the fact that we have Casemiro available. But again, who comes next to him, we'll have to wait and see. Because Martinez, listen, I've looked at some of the clips and watched his performance back against Aston Villa. He had a lot of time on the ball, but it was all in our half, and we know he was doing the simple things. But we will have to wait and see what happens with Martinez on that, because it's very interesting to see whether Amorim will trust him again. I think that was more of a, he just had to react to to Bruno Fernandes being injured, and he thought the only real player he could put in there with a bit of experience was Lisandro Martinez. So we will have to wait and see what happens on that situation. Now the last thing, ZIRKZEE, he's pushing for that move to Roma now. Apparently Manchester United are not going to let him go till at least AFCON finishes, and I believe the finals on the 18th of January or around that time. So if ZIRKZEE is to leave, which in terms of players who are likely to leave Manchester United, I think ZIRKZEE and Ugarte are probably the main two that are going to leave in the January window. We will have to wait and see. I think Mainu's going to stay. Roma definitely have high interest. They're doing quite well. I think they're fourth in the Serie A, so they're in the Champions League spots, and they do want to bring in a sort of player like ZIRKZEE. And again, he do well in the Turkish league. The Italian league. Ugarte is someone who has been linked to the Turkish league, so we will have to wait and see. But ZIRKZEE, for me, I think he's a decent player. Don't get me wrong. But is he good enough for United's squad right now? Probably not, is what I'd say. But we'll have to wait and see. But that is the latest. Semenyo, United deciding who will he choose, Man City or Manchester United. They are the two clubs that are heavily interested in signing him now. ZIRKZEE again could be on his way. Bruno Fernandes expected to miss the Manchester derby. So does that mean Manchester United are going to go out and get someone in the January window? Probably only be Ruben Neves that you can get. But we're hoping Mainu stays and he gets some minutes in the game against Newcastle.